Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back this evening with some Death and Taxes, which should be pretty fun. This is the deck that I've been running for a little while now, and really enjoying it. D&T is just a really rewarding deck to play. Was my gateway into Legacy, which is cool, and I've just really enjoyed. Yeah, some of the printings from Modern Horizons have been pretty fun. So yeah. Not too much more to say. This is a pretty stock list. Nothing too spice. I was playing a Charming Prince as kind of the flex slot for a little while and did like it, but I think the extra Flicker Wisp just gives the deck a little bit more oomph. So pretty happy for that. I was going to run another Skyclave, but I do like that Wisp just gives me access to another Flicker ability and does have a little bit more going for it. So pretty happy to see how that goes. The one card that's really impressed me is Caldra. This card's pretty insane. A lot of decks have a pretty hard time having to race it, which is pretty sweet. And it's just been really hard for my opponents to deal with as well. So Caldra, yeah, probably one of the better printings from Modern Horizons 2 for Death and Taxes. Definitely one that's caused a lot of shift in how fast D&T can actually punish you for trying to play the mid to late game, because Caldra hits for a bunch. Obviously not that easy to re-equip, but with the flicker effects we can flicker it to get the germ back online, which is pretty cool. So that should be pretty fun to see. Nice. All right, let's get right into it. Was just checking something up. Hey Jig, welcome. I hope you're well. Hope you had a nice weekend. Legacy League, play points. Nice. Thalia go, bro. Arkin at the top with, I believe, a lot of standstill, or the Bant kind of mid-range deck, which is cool. Not too sure what Scooby plays. Valencia and Bobber plays a bunch of different decks. Scavenging Ooze. Oh, Scavenging Booze, cool name. Damn, 45 viewers. You guys are quick. I will say that. Alright, up against the Daddy on the play. And Sand's great. I'll keep it. Dredge? Okay. Turn 1 Mum, turn 2 Thalia. I'm going to play like I'm in the blind, so I'm going to lead on the Mum. I'm not going to hold up the swords. Still think that's pretty good. Played some Green White Black Maverick this morning and had some fun. It's tough to grind with. There's a lot of decks in the format that can grind just a little bit better than Maverick, which is unfortunate. It's always been one of those decks that's been able to grind pretty well, but these days, yeah, it's tough. Opponent's gone to 5 cards. Hey, Luca Boring, welcome. Very nice to see you in here. Oh, sorry, in game. There we go. Ritual, Entomb. All right. Cool. What decks have been grinding it out? Mainly Bant variants. We played against Piss Doggery or Phil Doggery on like a 4-color deck that had a lot of snow basics that played like Bloodbreed and Shardless, which is pretty good. Bant's the big one. A lot of cards like Teferi, Jace, Sylvan Library, Uro. Hey Cybo, welcome. They're playing Grief. Interesting. I wonder if decks are now playing Grief on top of Unmask. I can only assume so. This guy literally only plays Dredge and runs the Dredge Discord. Well, there you go. Cool, cool. Yeah, it's a tough one. But I actually played the 2 leagues with 3 Swords to Plowshares and 3 of the prismatic endings in the main deck, and really enjoyed it. there weren't too many situations that I came up against where I really missed the extra Swords to Plowshares. You saw a 2-2 split recently of Grief and Unmask. Nice. I'm not giving up here because we do have some pretty nice outs in just a draw of Caracas. Or a Plains. It's pretty close to over, but I think because these games go pretty quickly, I'm pretty happy to play this out for a little bit. Sarah's Emissary. Interesting. Does this mean you can name a creature? You can name land, and then Caracas does nothing? That's pretty cool. Bringing back Archon. Alright. Yeah. I think we can successfully call it there. So any sort of Reanimator deck, I'm usually pretty happy to side out the Stoneforge Mystic package. Skyclave has some merit with Animate Dead, but these are going to be the main 7 that I want to take out. We do want the Surgicals, the Graph Digger's Cage, the Rest in Pieces, the Containment Priest. Deafening Silence is pretty interesting because of mainly the ritual starts. I could also see Path to Exile actually taking the place of Scarclaves. I still like Recruiter because it can find Containment Priest, which I think the game's going to slow down on. So maybe I don't want all of this. The Deafening Silences are definitely... I think Deafening Silences is a big one. Yeah, it just buys me so much time because it stops the turns where they can both put a creature into the bin and then also reanimate it in the same turn. It could just be like some number of mums. I don't mind that. Mum's fine, but it's not like we have that many flies that can kind of... I'm not going to rely on Mother of Runes to protect, you know, Flickerwisp from Grizzlebrand not dealing damage. I'd much rather be in a position where it just doesn't get into play. And I think this package of 11 does it. So that's probably it. Council Judgment's always interesting as well, but I think this is okay. Sweet Hand, we'll keep this. Yeah, I could definitely cut some 3-drops. That's very true. We're up against Black-Red Reanimator. And here, probably happy just to lead on the Deafening Silence. If my opponent shows Chancellor, I think I'm pretty happy just to throw the Aether Vial under it. Hey Ben, welcome. It is coffee. Haha, nice one. Hey Eldrazi Spaghetti Monster, I am back. Sometimes you just stream in the morning, and then you kind of just want to come back and stream in the evening. Ben, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Might even catch you this Wednesday at Paper Legacy. That'd be sweet. It is not beer o'clock. Definitely trying to stay off the beers. But coffee is definitely not the greatest replacement of it. Although a one-lander, I think this hand at least slows down my opponent enough. To get there, we can lead on Deafening Silence, which is Disruption. And then if we don't draw a land, we have Aether Vial, which can start getting towards us, grabbing these creatures and putting them in place. Water is always the best. It is. Water is really nice. Water, when you're really thirsty, there is nothing better. There's no better feeling than cold water when you're dehydrated. Alright, opponent goes to 6. No Chancellor. Pretty nice. I do know what fish do in water, Dizzy. It's very correct, yeah. Oh, they're going to grief us. Okay. This is actually a tough one. I'm not sure what they take. Probably the swords to plowshares. I guess we'll see. All right. There is a world where I hold up Swords to Plowshares next turn instead of playing the Aether Vial, so they can't get grief into play and steal the swords. But I think that isn't a great position, especially if our opponent doesn't go for that. Then we're just going to be behind so much. Thoughtseize as well. Okay. Interesting. They go for both creatures. Surgical's a fantastic draw. Nice. I think next turn if we get a land, we probably just want to recruiter for Containment Priest, but it definitely depends on what they do on their turn. Get Gristle, it's going to be okay. I'd love them to use the pedal to cast something like some sort of reanimation spell. They're going to animate dead. We will surgical Grizzlebrain in response. They have one card left. That ritual, okay. Definitely take Grizzle. See how they boarded. We have Elishnorn. This new card, which is really interesting. Archon of Cruelty. I didn't actually read this before. Whenever Archon or Cruelty enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, and loses 3 life. You draw a card and you gain 3. Nice. Okay. Interesting. It looks like that is sent back the same 60, not knowing what sort of graveyard hate we would bring in. Chancellors. Cool. Pretty happy to Wasteland here. Just to take them off red, so they have to use the Lotus Petal for red if they draw Faithless Looting. And I think just because I'm going to get Recruiter and just go for Flickwisp Chains, the Vial in 3 is going to be all the mana that I need, in a way. Elishnorn is probably the sideboard. Yeah, that's true. See if they do anything in response to Vial. They don't. Tick this up. The path. Hey Hef, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? This is going to be always no. We want to put this Flick Wisp in their main phase. Okay, so they still have Ritual 1 card. Yeah, I assume Elishnorn is if we have a board, it's a great way to deal with that, but it's not great if we don't have anything in play. I think I'm just going to send back the same 75, even though some of the cards are a little less impactful on the draw. I think that's okay. Really want to have a surgical start, but seeing how much hand disruption they have, that's going to be a bit tough to just rely on that surgical. Yeah, even if you know that... Okay, well this hand's a keep. Even if you know that we have something like Swords or Path, usually Grizzlebrand's just the best one because you're going to be able to get that 7 anyway. Pretty happy to lead on Grafdigger's Cage here instead of the Vial. Just have kind of 2 ways to deal with things. And they obviously just don't have an out to cage, which is pretty nice. And it's a good reason why you should play a bunch of different pieces of Graveyard Hate, because maybe they brought in Enchantment Hate but don't have Artifact Hate. Maybe they just brought in something for Surgical or Hand Disruption, but they can't actually beat an on-field cage. Legacy, yeah. That's Legacy sometimes. Yep. I feel like a Oops All Spells player, a little bit. But yeah, I feel like Reanimator has to have some really explosive starts to get in front of D&T, because otherwise, usually a lot of our 1 and 2 CMC spells are just enough to disrupt their plan enough to really start landing some other disruption and really keep them off being able to put in a big creature early on. Dr. Funkenstein, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Up against Tess. This is a pretty perfect hand. Pretty happy to keep this. How has Modern Horizons 2 impacted the format? Oh, Artifact Land. Okay. It's been an interesting one. It's done a lot. Endurance is pretty big. That's probably the biggest card. Hey Echo, welcome. Playing against Tezerator. Okay. Interesting. At least for FedEx, I think that Endurance is probably one of the bigger cards that people are worried about. But I wouldn't say it's warped it in any way. This is an interesting spot. We saw Tezerator get exiled. I'm pretty happy to lead on Thalia here, because I think the disruption aspect is actually better than just getting Stoneforge into play. And at least next turn we can still hopefully draw a land and then Mum and Stoneforge. A lot of artifact lands. Second Thalia is actually quite nice here because that's something we can pitch to Solitude. Oof. Agent. I should Solitude this. Yeah. Jerry, a huge thank you for the sub. I hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying your morning coffee. Opposition agent I didn't really think of here. Alright. Pretty happy to go for Kaldra here. Just to really try to close out this game before anything else occurs. You're too kind, Jerry. You're too kind. How's your weekend been? What have you been up to? And how's your coffee? That's the main question. Thought Monitor's going to be fine. Interesting. Land? Nice. Just go back from vacation? Very nice. That's what I want to hear. We do have Powder Keg in the sideboard, which is pretty fantastic. Because for those of you who don't know what Powder Keg does, Powder Keg is kind of like Ratchet Bomb, but it sacrifices itself to destroy each artifact and creature with mana value equal to the number of fuse counters on Powder Keg. So because artifact lands have a 0 CMC, it destroys all artifact lands as well, which is kind of cool. So this is definitely the matchup where you want it. Hey Star Fox, I was playing some Abzan Maverick this morning, and now we are playing some Death and Taxes. Foundry is going to be good. Happy to 6 here. I'm not too sure what I want to prelate for next turn. I think I'd rather prelate than play out a land, but definitely interesting. How do we go this morning? Double 3/2s. Hey, you're welcome, Star Fox. It's kind of nice. Prepare to Sword of the Meek? Yeah, Sword of the Meek is a 1 or 2 CMC. 2. Cool. I actually might attack first. Because we can attack still with Thalia and this pretty easily. We could attack with the Stoneforge as well. That's pretty free. Yeah, Jerry, 100%. Patreon is a much better way to support content creators. But of course, you don't have to. You don't have to. You can just enjoy the content. But if you would like to support me, and you would like to support me in the most financially beneficial way, Patreon is the way to go. Yeah, let's go for prelate for 2 here. And I'm not sure if I want a Wasteland here, or if I want to keep the Wasteland for something else. I think because they're at 5, I'm pretty happy to Wasteland here and not care about something like Saga, because I hope the game's over before that's actually a real thing. I'm not sure if it matters which land. I guess I might as well see how they use the Thopter first. Too kind, Jerry. It might even just be better just to keep the Wasteland for myself. Because then next turn I can Stoneforge for Batterskull in the same turn. Right now it's just tough because they can just float a mana and sack the land to their Thopter to get a 1/1. But to be fair, most of their things are blue, so pro blue on this is going to be pretty good next turn. So I think we will just try to take them off the Vault here. I think Legacy's in a pretty healthy format. It's in a rough spot from a fair player perspective, because I just don't have a great answer for endurance a lot of the time. But I'm sure in a few weeks it'll adjust, and I'll find something, or someone else will find something. Kaldra does have Trample, but maybe I am happy just attacking with I'm just wondering if I give pro blue before blocks. Obviously I get in. Oh, they're at 6 now. Okay. Of course, because Thopter Foundry. Yeah, that makes sense. didn't sack it. Interesting. To be fair, I probably should have recruited there for either Skyclave or Recruiter for Phyrexian Revoker to turn off the Thopter Foundry. Ah, non-token. There we go. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be crazy if they could just keep keep going with the Thopter. All right. I like the Powder Keg. I don't mind the sort of Fire and Ice in this matchup. Probably a little bit more than the Batterskull. I still like the Mums. The Spirits are probably still okay, but I can see myself dropping a Spirit. Thalia can also be dropped to 1. Yeah, Rip seems pretty strong as well, especially against the combo. Council's Judgment as well, I don't mind in this sort of build. Maybe the Sword is overkill. Prelate's also interesting, but... Yeah, maybe Solitude's the card I don't need. The only thing that sucks is Opposition Agent in some areas, but I think we can play around that. We can see how this goes. 4 Strix and Fort Throat. This is a sweet hand. Turn 1 Vial, turn 2 Thalia. I haven't seen Yuri on Taxes in a little while. I'm not too sure what the initial reason was to go for Yorion. If it was just the extra ability to... What are they going to hit? Huh. Armix. Whenever it attacks, you may discard a card. When you do, target creature defending player controls gets neg X until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Cool. Okay. Yeah, Yuri on D&T looks sweet. I wouldn't say there's any reason not to, but it's obviously a They have the Force, sure. Transmute artifact. Interesting. You do get a free 4/5 flyer, but at the cost of 20 extra cards in your main deck, so there is... some cost. Again, happy to go for Swords. And then just play Vial. Wasteland here would be pretty good. Revoker's also pretty interesting. I think here, just because my opponent is a little bit behind, Thalia is going to be okay. Just taxing any sort of effects. Revoker off Vial is really nice, and the next time we can also get Stoneforge into play, just to get some real damage going. Tapped land. Hey JS, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you're playing Legacy. Alright. Tick up Vial. Recruiter. Okay. Recruiter on Vial. Happy to attack. They can't currently cast Opposition Agent, which is nice. So I'm pretty happy just to Stoneforge here. You're Spanish? Play D&T and Legacy? Very cool. White Collector Oof when? Stony Silence. Isn't that just Stony Silence? Playing the Stoneforge there because I do want to use the Revoker at instant speed. It isn't a creature, that's correct. What's this going to be? Deluge for 2. Sure. Ah, this is an artifact land. Gotcha. Cool. I thought the Mox Opal was offline, but of course I didn't pick up that this is an artifact land. Probably just want to name Thopter Foundry here. Yeah, I knew these were under... That actually makes a lot of sense because I don't think it's just an indestructible dual land you'd play them, especially because you can't search for them. I think I'm just going to get a Skyclave here. That way I have both Flicker Wisp and Skyclave. Urza. Urza's going to be more than fine. Sure. Question is, do I want to use the Caracas here? I don't think I do. I probably just want to use Skyclave to get rid of the Urza. Hey Panda. Yeah, 2 streams one day. 2 streams one day. Another Wisp. Interesting. I could definitely double get the Wisp. I kind of just want to Wisp into Wisp and then exile the Urza. Actually, I want to play a little bit around another Toxic Deluge. So I think Apparition here is fine on the Urza. But it's kind of nice to be able to hit it here with the Flick Wisp so they don't get a 4/4 if this gets removed. A little bit overkill, and it is setting me up to get blown out, but I think it's okay. Hey, thanks, Prophet. Hey, Ice Cream, welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Tomb's okay. Bridge is fine because we have the Wisp. They have 1 card in hand. Mum. flick Recruiter and go and get the second Skyclave for the bridge and just hope that's enough. Opponent really has to draw something here. When I get a Wisp? Yeah, I could have got a Wisp. I guess because I wanted to deal with the Ensnaring Bridge just in case they had something this turn to deal with my board, like another Deluge, then I definitely want to exile the Ensnaring Bridge for good. But I could also get a Wisp and flick a Skyclave, that's correct. I think it's much of a muchness. I think it all leads to a Golden Road, which is really nice. But yeah, the extra point of damage could definitely come up as a reason to get a Flick Wisp for the Skyclave. Tough one. Yeah, food decision. Always nice to have an abundance of decisions rather than just be locked into the one. But opponent did have Deluge there, but other than that, they didn't really have much. I mean, the first 3 turns are pretty much just land drops, so pretty happy. All right, play first. I am going to mull this hand. I think I'd be really unhappy to draw one more land. I mean, it's turn 1 Mum, turn 2 Port. Yeah, there's a lot more going on. This is a hand that I'm happy to keep. And I think I'm just going to bottom the second Vial. I could bottom a land, but second Vial is only if the first one gets countered that I'm really worried about it. But this has protection into a threat into removal with the basics to back it up, so pretty happy with this. Pact. Oof. Okay. Probably just Oopsal spells. Oops is going to be a tough one, especially not to get the first game. Sometimes you can get there with Thalia, but it's not going to happen this time. But for those of you who are unaware of this deck, Oopsal Spells is a pretty cool one. This is the deck that tries to get everything in the bin, either through Undercity Informant or Spy. And then you can trigger your Narcomoebas that when they hit the graveyard from the library, they come back into play. And then from there, you can use... Where is it? Where's Dread Return? Ah, it must be in the hand. Okay. So what they can do here is Cabal Therapy themselves with one of the Narcomoebas to put Dread Return in the bin, which is a spell that has flashback, sacrifice 3 creatures, put 1 into play, and you put into play if that's a Oracle, which is pretty sweet. And then you win with the ETB. Hey Max. Hey Crawlton. Thanks for the follows. Let me know where you're from. Nice. Oof. And they had the Pact. That's a pretty nice hand. Even against a blue deck, that'd be pretty hard to beat. You beat an Oops player game 1 on D&T last week with 2 Swords of Plowshares and a Solitude on the Narcs. Very nice. Alright. Surgicals, Graph Cage, Deafening Silence, definitely. Containment Priest, Rest in Pieces. I think, again, this might just be a game for Stoneforge Mystic to come out against. Some number of Flick Wisps. The Solitude hand would have won, because what we could have done is hit one of their creatures with the Cabal Therapy on the stack, and so they would have only had 2 creatures to flashback with Dread Return. I think it's just this. I'm not too sure if Mum plays a role, if they actually have removal for things like Thalia, but I think this is fine. I do want to mulligan aggressively in this matchup as well. Is a turn 2 priest enough? Turn 1 hold up swords, turn 2 priest? I think I'm happy to go to 5 and try to get to either Surgical, Grafdigger's Cage, or Deafening Silence. Okay, well, we get to Deafening Silence, but no mana, so I'm going to go to 4. Which, to be fair, does give me a few ways to win, but... I mean, probably this is a 4, maybe even this is a 4. But again, the reason I'm mulliganing is to find these 1-drops, so let's just get there. Nope. Ah, okay, keep. Put 5 back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. The tough thing is that they could just get there with fair beats if they don't have an answer to the cage. I'm going to assume they do. Ah, Charbelcher. That'll do it. Tough. Rough. Well, that is the Oops matchup for you. At least they're fast games, which is nice. Yeah, 1 cage to save them all. Sadly, a cage that had no impact. I'm going to quickly get a drink. I'll be back in a second. Nice. The meme cannon? Whew. Hey, Commander Sausage. A huge thank you for the Prime sub. Too kind, too kind. That's really nice. So I hope you're having a nice weekend. What have you been up to? Have you been able to play some Paper Legacy? Or Magic in general? Just got off work? Nice. That's cool. Get to sit back and relax for a bit. Still in lockdown? That's fair. Hey Marble Faith. Thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy? Alright, match 4. Alright, on the play. The old one-lander, but I'm pretty happy to keep this. Especially in the blind. There's just something about a turn 1 Vial that I really like. Green White Depths at the moment. Recovering 4-color Loam player. You should check out Arkan's version of 4-color Loam that he played. I believe we played against it on Thursday night, and it was a sweet deck. Really cool to see. Playing Mum here, I think, gives my opponent the giveaway that I have a Mother of Runes in hand as well, but hopefully that's okay. Hand's a little bit soft to combo, which Underground Sea these days... Okay. Well, Crab's going to be... this is going to be pretty tough. Hogaak, a pretty tough matchup. At least I found for D&T. Postboard, you really have to mulligan pretty heavily for your graveyard hate. But their ability to go wide is pretty quick. But at least nothing going on too much so far. Gravecrawler's okay. If they flashback the therapy, I think I'm still happy to put in Mum and just make them have a blind hit. Because I think how we've played so far, Mum's a pretty easy first name. And double Mum play is nice, but if they go for the combo through Altar, it's going to be tough. I think Source to Plowshares is a fair name here. Could also be Thalia. They chose Source to Plowshares, so luckily didn't get a hit. But they do now have pretty good info. You're from Germany? Just a huge D&T fan? Nice. What's the Legacy scene like in Germany at the moment? Thalia. I'm probably okay to pass you a Stoneforge up. I think Stoneforge into a big piece, a big threat is probably want to go. Hey Orborg, welcome. Plow Thalia Stoneforge, yeah. So I guess putting in Thalia before their main phase taxes things like Careful Study and another Cabal. But I think the best way to win this game is by getting Stoneforge online. They hit 1 bridge and 2 Careful Studies. So currently, Gravecrawler, Hogaak, Bridge, the only cards in the bin that I actually care about. There's an Altar. Yeah, maybe there's a world where playing the Thalia was just correct because of this line. It means they couldn't have cast the Gravecrawler this turn alongside the Altar. Now they hit a second bridge. Yeah, this should be enough. I'm just going to put in Thalia here, because it does stop Cabal Therapy. But there's also a world where next turn I could... If they don't go off this turn for some reason, we can definitely recruit it for another Thalia to get all the bridges. But I might as well see what their main deck is. Most Hogaak main decks are the same, but sometimes they can differ up on some sort of main deck removal. Where can you find Arkan's Loam list? Maybe on his Twitter. I'll have a quick look. I'm not too sure what Arkan's Twitter is. Legacy Council. There we go. This is not it. That's not it. That's not it. No. It might be in the Loam Discord, perhaps. That could be a place where it is. Still looks like a pretty normal deck. Happy just to concede here. Alright. Containment Priest, Rest in Pieces, Surgical Grafdigger's Cage. Parts are probably warranted, but what I'm taking out is always interesting. I don't mind dropping out on Thalia's. I still think the Stoneforge Mystic package is obviously pretty good. Spirits can come out as well. Mums are still pretty good. Vial's obviously pretty good. Prelate can probably come out. It's really just Prelate for 2 to stop either Trophy or Abrupt Decay, but then they might have something like Dark Blast. Force of Vigor is obviously pretty good. Containment Priest is interesting though, because it really only stops Bloodghast triggers and Vengevine. Powder Keg Clean tokens is interesting as well. I kind of just want to get in a situation where they can't go off with the tokens. It's just tough as well because I can't search for it, so I can't really rely on it. Maybe it's not Priest. I still like Revoker for Altar. Wisps is still fine. It could just be cutting down on Wisp and having an extra Containment Priest. Thalia does kill bridges, but then I need 2 of them. I'm going to see how this slides. And hopefully it's enough. Turn 1, Mum into turn 2, Priest with a sword. Okay. I think I'm happy just to run out of Mum as well, instead of holding up Swords to Plowshares. I can also lead on Plains next turn, so that not porting doesn't show off any sort of signs that I do have something else. But if they play a Crab, I'm probably more happy to Swords and then play the other Mum. I'm not going to attack just because of Dark Blast. It's a card that I'm not the biggest fan of, especially when playing D&T. Mum Tribal, yeah. It's a good deck. Study to start. Hogaak Vengevine. Pass. Okay. This is a little bit awkward with the port, but hopefully my opponent just will think we're doing something weird, not Containment Priesting. Study's going to be fine. There is a world where I priest in response to Careful Study, because if they put Bloodghast in the bin here and then play a land to trigger it, they can then respond to the Containment Priest again with the fetch. Yeah. There's one Bloodghast. Oh, okay. Well, now we can let the fetch resolve. Trigger the Bloodghast. Play Priest. It is a May abilities. They don't have to, but still a small win. Stitches. Alright. That's a pretty good target for Skyclave here. Yeah, I guess if they got Dried Arbor, that's a reason not to. Yeah. That's very true. It's a good point. Flickerwist wouldn't be the worst draw here either, as would allow me to flicker one of their creatures. That is going to concede, which is interesting, because Gravecrawlers you can still cast from the bin. Ah, you need a zombie, of course, there we go. But they're not too far away from getting a creature into bin to then cast Gravecrawlers to then cast Hogaak. Maybe the hand was just nothing. I think I'm happy to sending this back. Maybe down on the mums, but not too sure what else I would want. There is a world where Judgment answers Altar. If I have like Rest in Peace in board and they have Altar and they're just waiting to find a removal spell for it. But I think this is fine. Really relies on the Graveyard Hate. This is pretty much a 6 because of the Batterskull. And I think as a 6 I would keep this. I mean, it has a turn 1 Vial or a Path, and then we have Rest in Peace as turn 2, so... It is a little bit awkward against something like a Cabal Therapy with a Flashback, but I think most hands are going to be like that. Stitcher. Vengevine, Gravecrawler, Hogaak. Okay. Well, that's a pretty spicy turn. Karakas is nice because it answers the Hogaak really nicely. So I'm just not sure here if I'd rather turn 1 Vial or upkeep Path the Stitches Supplier. I think I'd rather upkeep Path the Stitches Supplier to try to slow them down. Just a tad. As good, but Vial is just so good, especially if we get to start untapping with it. You would Path on turn 1 upkeep, yeah. I think the Stitches Supplier is just such a good resource for them that if they have something like Altar or Cabal Therapy in hand, it's just so good that, yeah, although turn 1 Vial is pretty appealing, I do just have to draw step Path. This is where Dark Blast is actually pretty interesting because they could Dark Blast their own creature to kill it and also get the trigger, but Crab. Fetch land. They hit a decay, which is relevant. Probably get a Bayou here. As long as we get to untap and play this Rest in Peace, I'll be happy. Dried Arbor? Okay. They hit a second Vengevine. Nice. Whew. We upkeep Pathed. This is pretty huge, hitting a Gravecrawler, a Hogaak, and 2 Vengevines. Pretty happy with that. Is this a May? Or did they hit me? Oh, they must have hit me. Okay. Skyclave. Here, I probably don't mind just Vial into Upkeep, Port the Dried Arbor to keep them off. Double green for Hogaak. Oh, sorry, for Vengevine. Because Vengevine beats a real. We do have the Skyclave for it, which is nice, but... Happy just to pass. Hey Tom, this is not the challenge. This is just a league. I believe the challenge starts in about 3 hours. I am not joining the challenge. Unfortunately, challenges for me are at 1 AM on Monday morning. Another Vial. What lands have they hit? A Bayou. Okay, so they probably still have 2 Bayous. The question is, what am I doing this turn? I think just playing the second Vial. I don't really care about the Hegian Crab or the Bloodghast at this point. I'm in a really good position. I'm just going to make sure I don't kind of trip up and put myself in a position to lose this game. I'm going to keep the Wasteland around because a land into Batterskull is pretty huge here. Nice. Yeah, tough one from my opponent. Really tough one. That's the first game I've got off, or the first match I've got off Hogaak in a long time on D&T, so felt pretty good. Obviously, Rest in Peace is a really amazing card against graveyard decks, but it's always nice to get one. Hope everyone's doing well, enjoying your weekends. It's the first day of no lockdown in my city, which is nice. So masks, social distancing still mandatory, but it's nice to get out. Hey Mapson, welcome. What time is it in Australia right now? It is currently 10:18 PM on Sunday evening. Thought I would have a little bit of therapeutic D&T time before bed. But speaking of therapeutic, if anyone wants to listen to a really good modern and legacy podcast, check out the Depths podcast, hosted by Michael Mapson and Billy. A really good, just an easy listen podcast, which is nice, with some nice, thorough, in-depth content. Big fan of the podcast. Yeah, Commander Sausage. I know there's a lot of people that really want to be biding their time to play some paper Magic. And hopefully soon. If we have an Eternal Weekend in paper next year, could you be convinced to fly over? 100%. Eternal Weekend's still on the list. I've done GP Vegas in 2016, which was a Legacy and Modern GP. and then GP Shizuoka in 2019, which was Legacy. So I kind of want to do Eternal Weekend Europe, which would be cool to then do a Legacy tournament in Europe. But I definitely wouldn't pass up an Eternal Weekend in the US. That would be pretty cool. All right, let's do this. On the play against Nyx. The hand has no creatures, but a Vial start with a port, and then also removal and swords. I'm going to see how this goes. I'm never one to fade away from a turn 1 Vial into turn 2 port. And look, the deck plays creatures. We're going to draw into them, so... Please don't be Hogaak. Ponder, okay. Isn't that guy on Tin Fins? I'm not too sure if Tin Fins plays Ponder. Underground Sea Ponder, to me, represents Doomsday straight away. Playing out the pedal there to play around Thalia attacks. Alright. Well, we do get the upkeep tap. But Ritual into Doomsday here would be really nice. Preordain. Because there isn't too much we can do. 2 cards on top. Alright. We'll activate Vial. Put in nothing. Untap Vial. Tick up to 2. Could still be Ant or Tess. Ah. Alright. Well. There's probably a world where holding up the swords is correct, just in case my opponent is on Doomsday and doesn't have a correct pile with Thassa's Oracle. But I assume turn 3 here. Opponent's kept with Preordain. That it's going to be turn? No. Interesting. Oh, I should have definitely activated our Vial there. Definitely a misplay not to. Alright. Ah, the one card I don't really want to see. Alright. I guess we do have the out to tendrils of play Mum, Swords It, go to 1. But I think I probably should have kept Vial to 2 and then gone up to 3. But seeing that I had 2 mana left over, I could still cast a Thalia or Spirit of Labyrinth and then port in the same turn. And Vial on 3 means I can either recruit it for something and get it, or even if I draw like Prelate, I can still put it in and also port, so. Tough one. They're gonna fetch. This could be like an upkeep Adnors. They get a Tundra, okay. Definitely not Test, definitely not Ant. But really slow for Doomsday. Sure. Green, black, Ritual, Witherbloom. Rough. Tough. Not sure how I want to board for this. Seeing the rituals, I probably don't mind Deafening Silence if they do try to combo into something else. I could just see the Stoneforge Mystic being cut, package being cut for just another, just a bunch of combo hate. Hey Glacier, welcome. I hope you're well. Yeah, Deafening Silence sadly doesn't stop Smog. Two Silence, two Path. Not sure what I want to take out though. I probably don't mind the third Deafening Silence, just to increase my chances of finding it turn 1. Jit is pretty good, yeah. Yeah. It might just be like a small trim. I think Batterskull can come out. Revoker's interesting. Is Keg good versus Apprentice? Keg's definitely interesting. That's a good question. Hey Muse, thanks for the follow. And Simon, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're both from. Hey Onion Lotus, you give Powder Cake some respect. It's really good versus artifact lands out of Affinity, because it kills all the artifact lands, which is cool. Yeah, it might just be a trim here. I don't mind something like this. I'll keep this. Probably just turn 1 Silence here into Vial next turn. But we'll see what they play. From Singapore? Very cool. Hey. Hope you're well. Stoneforge is pretty nice though, because it does just keep... If we get Kaldra here, it really puts some beats going. Yeah, Keg is removal under Silence. That's very true. Plains is nice. I probably just want to recruit a next turn for Solitude. Safekeeper. Huh. Ooh. I think then I just want to go for Revoker on Safekeeper and hold up Swords. Oh. Yeah. I could also revoke a Petal, but I think revokering Safekeeper is better here. But this is interesting because they can only cast 1 non-creature spell a turn, so there's no way for them to ramp into both Mage and Smog next turn. If I name Safekeeper and they have Decay, they still have to use the Petal. But if they have something like Fatal Push, then they kind of get to go off. But I can't really play around Fatal Push here. I think it is just named Safekeeper. Because... yeah. And just hope. Okay. All creatures get -2 and -2. This is going to be fine. Can't do anything here anyway, so this resolves. We get to keep the Phyrexian Germ, which is nice. Could have activated the Vial there and probably should have. Interesting. That is going to not even see anything else of ours. What do we draw? Planes. Planes is actually pretty good, because then we get to hold up Swords, Recruiter for Solitude. I probably just want to run this back. We'll give the fans a chance. We'll give the fans a chance and play the Powder Keg. I think it might just be Mum. There's not really a creature here that I really care about, to be honest. Nice of them to show me Massacre before scooping. Yeah, pretty funny. But... yeah. Speaking of Massacre, Pokey, you might like this. It is the Dread Night Binder. I didn't like people playing it locally, so I had to exhume them of the metagame. But it just became a pretty funny thing that if I ever found one, I would just get one and pick it up. It's been a while. It's been a while. This is a one-lander with Deafening Silence, but not much else going for it, so I am going to mulligan this. This is a one-lander that also doesn't have too much going for it. This is a one-lander that does have some stuff going for it, so I'll keep this. But it's going to be interesting to see what I drop. I like the Keg. I think the Revoker is probably going to get dropped here. Revoker and Stoneforge. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Whenever I go to Australian events and see people with Dread Night, I'm like, where did you get those? I think it's just Revoker. Opponent went to 6. Yeah, I feel like we have to do something with the Dread Knights. Some sort of big giveaway. What % of total Dread Knights in Australia do I think I own? I reckon between 60 and 65%. I think that's a fair assessment. Is it greedy to drop a land here on the draw? I think it's pretty greedy to drop a land here. My thought process is dropping Thalia because there's 4 of them in the deck, and they are, of course, legendary. And turn 2 Stoneforge isn't that bad. Especially with Cauldron. But if Stoneforge dies, then we don't have much going for ourselves. I'm going to go with Thalia. I like the taxing effect of Thalia. What can I say? Oh. Maybe I should have kept that Revoker. Interesting. Fetch, then Brainstorm. Obviously wanting those Lotus Petals to keep. I guess I can trade the Powder Keg for those Lotus Petals, correct? Oh. Oh my gosh. Surely that's what I do here. Play it and then sack it straight away? Surely that's just the play. Blow the load? I'm not going to say that. Oh, so good. Land is pretty nice, because now we get to go Vial into Thalia. Powder Keg. It was chat's idea. Chat said put Powder Keg in. So good. Scrub. Bayou. Okay, cool. Okay. We can just draw another one, which is pretty nice. Port's good. But yeah. Huh. This is an interesting one because I think it's just gonna be Caldra. I could go for Jide because that gives me extra outs to the combo. But Caldra just closes the game quicker. To be fair, it's kind of the same. I guess it's one turn faster. 5 to 13 and then 6 and 6. So 4 turns. And Jide has put him to 17 and then just keep pumping. I think I'd rather Caldra. But it's close. And here I'm pretty happy to tap down the blue. Jit does also kill the dude. There's Witherbloom. They're going to play it out, which is really interesting. A land here. I probably just want another Thalia. File. Hey, Scoop in Response. Welcome. I hope you're doing well. Okay. We do have the sword, which is really nice. Thoughtseize. Well. I'm going to put this to 3 because we currently have 2 mana for Port and then 2 mana left over. So if we draw like a Thalia or a Spirit, we can just play it. But with a Vial on 3, we can also hold up things like Flicker Wisp, Recruiter of the Guard, Skyclave. Spirit's pretty sweet. This also increases the clock to just a 1-turn clock, which is really nice. And now I might just tap them off their white mana. Keep them off like Swords to Plowshares on this guy. Should I buy out all Dreaded Knights in my area also? You should. Yeah, definitely. Alright. 4-1. Going down to Oops All Spells. Not too bad. What are we doing, chat? Are we doing another one? Are we running this back? 10:40 PM. We can fit another one in. We can fit another